Gesche Gottfried was a German who was involved in terrible crimes. In Germany, she is known as the Bride of Demons and is often despised by people in the city of Bremen. Gesche was a cold, calculating killer. How did she kill people? Well, I'll share the details on today's video. I'm Stallion Edgar, and this is Fear the Weird. Do you believe there's more to life than what we're told? Do you have burning questions about hidden and controversial topics? Subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification to unravel the mysteries of life and the universe. Gesche Margaret Gottfried was born in 1785 together with her twin brother. She was the daughter of a tailor and a seamstress. The family was humble and lived in very poor financial conditions. Her parents have always shown much more affection for Gesche's brother, Johann Tim Jr. Throughout her childhood, Gesche suffered a lot because her parents preferred her brother. She grew up to be a beautiful woman with blonde hair and beautiful blue eyes. Wherever she passed, the attention of men was very much drawn. It didn't take long for her father to arrange a wedding for her. Gesche married a man named Johann Miltenberg. Johann was a wealthy man who ended up raising his family both socially and financially. Gesche went on to have a life of luxury, but her relationship with Johann was everything but pleasant. He made money as fast as he spent it with prostitutes and drinks. He came home drunk and often beat Gesche, which made her very unhappy. Want to know what was Gesche's idea to get rid of her husband? That's right, she decided to kill him. Gesche's mother used to use arsenic to kill domestic mice. It was then that she decided to run tests using her husband as guinea pig. Gesche gradually added arsenic to Johann's beer. If you didn't know, arsenic is an almost tasteless and odorless metalloid that causes acute and chronic toxicity. The substance is famous for being associated with poisonings and deaths and often mentioned in fictional literature. Strangely enough, arsenic was traded freely at the time. People used it as a pesticide and even as a cosmetic. But when it was used to poison other people, the effect of the substance was frightening. Gesche and her husband were together for 8 years and had 3 children, Adelheid, Johanna, and Heinrich. The couple's other 2 children died shortly after giving birth. After 8 years of marriage, on 1st of October 1813, Johann died. Thus Gesche, with only 28 years of age, made her first victim. But she was not very lucky with her marriage. Johann had spent all of his family's inheritance in the city brothels, leaving almost nothing for his wife. But don't be tricked into thinking that beautiful woman would be alone for a long time. Shortly after her husband's death, a man named Michael Christoph Gottfried became interested in the murderer. He was a wine merchant and had a lot of money. They started a romance, and that's when Gesche adopted the name Gottfried. But there was a problem that bothered Gesche's new partner. He did not want Gesche's children to move in with them, which would be a problem for her. But she found another way of solving her problem. The slaughter of children began. Johanna, just 3 years old, died on May 10, 1815. Soon after, exactly 8 days after Johanna's death, it was Adelheid's turn at the age of 6. 4 months later, she killed 5-year-old Heinrich. At this time, Gesche took the opportunity to kill her own parents as they did not agree with her relationship with Michael. Thus, in just 4 months, Gesche had killed her 3 children and her parents, which would already earn her the title of serial killer. In her city, people didn't even suspect that her family had been poisoned. This made people see Gesche as a victim, that she had lost her own parents and children to mysterious illnesses. She was called the Angel of Bremen, a devout woman born in poverty who cared for her family. Little did they know who she really was. After a while, Gesche would attack again. This time the victim would be her twin. In 1816, Johann Tim had returned to his hometown. He had become an alcoholic and was back in the city of Bremen, but his sister was not happy in the slightest. He often asked questions about his parents' death, which made Gesche very uncomfortable. And even before he thought about claiming the inheritance left by his parents, she decided to take her own brother's life. On June 1st, 1816, Johann died of poisoning. Death was ultimately attributed to a venereal disease. Gesche had already killed her entire family. Shortly thereafter, she became pregnant, but for some reason she decided she was not going to officiate her marriage to Michael Gottfried. During the months of gestation, Michael was increasingly distant from Gesche. It looked like he was starting to suspect that she was a cruel killer and that he might be the next victim. Gesche started to poison Michael. His health was getting worse and worse. At the same time that she took care of his health, she poisoned him. Unlike most other serial killers, she liked to see slow and long-lasting suffering. Gesche, with the popular nickname Angel of Bremen, received everyone's solidarity. And it was not long before Michael reached the last moments of his life. But before he died, Gesche accepted his request, and the two were married. The marriage caused Gesche to inherit all of Michael's assets. On July 5, 1817, Michael died. Gesche forced an abortion and killed the baby before he was even born. After this series of murders, the serial killer took advantage of Michael's inheritance and bought a house. While she lived in one of the rooms in the house, she rented the others to earn some money and thus managed to survive. But soon, financial difficulties started to appear, and she then moved to another neighborhood in the city. In 1822, Gesche went to another city called Stade. It is not known exactly what happened there, but she returned to Bremen completely broke. And to solve this problem, she found another husband. In 1823, she married Paul Zimmermann, but that relationship was very short. In June 1823, Paul was dead, and Gesche was once again receiving inheritance. The serial killer was in full swing. Soon, she started poisoning everyone who crossed her path. She killed her friend and music teacher, Anna Lucia Meyer-Horst, and her neighbor, Johann Moses. In 1826, at the age of 41, she was in financial difficulty again, and Gesche had to get a job. She went to work as a housekeeper at Johann Rumpf's house. Shortly thereafter, Rumpf's wife, Wilhelmina, died. On this day, people began to be suspicious about the murders, since all the people Gesche had a close relationship with died. After committing a few more murders, Johann Rumpf realized what was going on. He found pieces of meat covered with a white powder, which could explain the symptoms he was experiencing. It was then that Rumpf had the idea to call the family doctor to analyze the foods made by Gesche. Thus, the career of serial killer of this terrible woman came to an end. The authorities had been warned, and Gesche was arrested on March 16, 1828, at the age of 43. In interrogations, the serial killer confessed to the poisoning of 30 people, of whom 16 had died. She was sentenced to death by beheading. Her execution brought together about 35,000 people, according to reports. After her execution, her head was placed in alcohol and exposed at the Domschorf Museum, and her skeleton kept at the Institute of Pathology at the Municipal Hospital in Bremen. A fire during the World War II ended up destroying the skeleton. Gesche's head disappeared in 1913. The place where Gesche was beheaded is called Spugstein, or Spit Stone. The local population has the habit of spitting on this stone as a way of showing contempt for the serial killer. After the crime was discovered, people started calling the Bremen Angel the Devil's Bride, or even Bremen's Demon Angel. And this is all for today. Leave your comments below and subscribe for future videos. See you next time.